All right, today we're going to talk about stiffening your chassis stiffening for your car, for your EF chassis Civic or CRX over here. Now, we're going to be talking about strut bars. They're long and hard. And if you're interested in these, don't really even know where to begin, Donut Media has a great video on Money Pit where they talk about these and they go and test them. Today, we're going to mostly be focusing on the different options available for this chassis. But before we get to that, let's talk about where they can be. There is a front strut bar which connects, that goes between the two shock towers to minimize flex here. The CRX is a very light chassis. The Civic is a very light chassis. Everybody loves the double wishbone suspension, but they are prone to some flex. Don't mind the fuel system here. We're also seeing that we have a stretch tower bar in the back connecting the two shock towers. There's basically two kinds of strut bars. They're either solid piece, one piece like this, or we have the three-piece kind where there's some kind of swivelly joint. Now this is a no-name eBay one that I'm going to be replacing with this brand new one from Megan Performance. I'm not going to pretend that this Megan Racing one is going to be way higher performing than that no-name eBay one, but it will look a lot nicer. And that is what it's all about here. So there's basically 3.5 brands that make these for this chassis. Megan Racing, Ultra Racing. This is not a strut bar for the front, but it goes on the bottom in the back, which is another place you can stiffen, the chassis. So Ultra Racing, Megan Racing, Skunk 2, and DC Sports. The reason I say 3.5 manufacturers, because DC Sports only makes a rear upper bar. They do not make a front. I would have picked them for the front because I think that graphite gray looks really nice. And I like the one-piece construction. So that leaves me with 3 choices: the Megan Racing, the Skunk 2, or the Ultra Racing. Ultra Racing is very expensive and nearly impossible to find in stock. And I don't really even know why it's so expensive, because it's just a steel tube with white powder coat on it and this little thing. So I got this Megan Racing one. Comes with stickers. Okay, so this Megan Racing, it is not just a simple tube. It is this rectangle shape with these beveled corners. It's very light. It's got the Megan Racing placard. It looks very nice. The Skunk 2 is a lot like this. I just picked this one out. One way that this Megan might actually be outperforming in some technically measurable but you'll never notice in real life way is that it is light. It is very light. We'll see how light that is. This is a little jangly, but it's very light, and this shape, there's probably some science to that. Or maybe they just did it to look cool. I don't know. Don't lose that. Don't lose that. I love this stubby 12-volt Milwaukee. Now, to contribute to the less attractiveness of this bar, I have zip tied my clutch cable to it. So I'm gonna have to find a new home for that. Don't lose that. And there we have it. Anybody wants this? You can come have it for free. Because we're going with flashy parts with name brands on them. This could not be easier to install. That's not tight. So I have them all loose, and I just want to make sure that it sits good and get as many fingerprints on that as I can. And I'll finger tight these. Now, of course, with the DC Sport style, the one piece, it's pretty simple. You just put it on because there's no adjustment. So those are finger tight. That fits. This little lip around the top of the strut tower fits in there nicely. It looks the same on both sides. So now I will ugga-dugga it down. And we'll tighten those. What is that? 14? Oh, yes. And I don't know. Is that an 8mm? Is that a 10mm? What is it? It's something. It's something. We've got 8mm. All right. Now that, I think it looks pretty nice. Now that we have the front, we're gonna do the rear. We already have the rear upper installed. So we're gonna raise the car so we can install the rear lower. We are now under the back of the CRX. Here's the exhaust to give you some context. And here we have where the lower control arms go onto the chassis. And this just ties those two together. We're gonna take out these bolts and nuts, and we're gonna bolt this guy up here for a little bit of bling. Now I have these jack stands so that my LCAs don't fall down, and in case the quick jack decides to exit the chat, I won't die as much. We've got a 14mm on the facing the rear of the car and a 19mm, so we're gonna hold it and ugga. It's kind of like doing coilovers on the front, except for I'm upside down. Now, I wonder if we put it on the back. Not really sure the pros and cons to that, other than if I was on the other side, I wouldn't have to take this bolt out all the way. But we're gonna do it. Okay, it didn't like pop out and fly down. Now this bolt has a tapered tip, which is great for aligning through here. Now this is already not quite lined up, so we're putting this punch through the back to try to, nope, that made it more unaligned. There we go. Now putting this back is one thing, but I have to put it back with this on it. Nope. It keeps unaligning itself. Because of course everything over here moves, which is kind of the whole point. Hold the, if you can. Oh, yes, that's too far. So push it right there. Stay right there. There we go. Oh, because that's threaded. Oh, I didn't need to hold the back of that nut on. It's part of it. I'm so silly. Okay. Yep. So I don't have to hold the back because that is not a nut. It's just a welded, threaded thing that looks like a nut. Now we're going to undo this side. Some violent sounds, which means to answer the question of should I put it on the back, it wouldn't work. You can't put it on the back. So this is the only way to do it, and that's just great. Now, how unaligned is that? I don't know. Let's get all these tools out of the way. It's pretty unaligned, so Diego is going to pull on the wheel. Yep, right there. Oh, that was nice. Look at that. Now for the final torque, I do like to do it by hand. I have no idea what the torque spec for this is. Until it feels good. That feels good. Now, that's all I'm installing is we've got the lower in the rear, we have the upper in the rear, and then I also have the innovative traction bar, which is not specifically for chassis stiffening, but it does do that, and you've seen that in many of my other videos. And of course, now the Megan front upper. If I were to do more chassis stiffening, the next thing would be the front quarter panels. There are bars. I'm going to describe them with my hands, but then in the video later, I'm going to like actually put it on the screen. So you're not going to be seeing my hands. That would be the next thing if I wanted to become even stiffer. All right. Thanks for watching. Did that look cool? Was that cool? Okay.